Are you concerned about this particular meeting when it comes to where the markets are and how the markets react?
First of all, I much prefer Mar-a-Lago meetings with Trump because he seems to be a better person when he's there. He's kinder, he's more gentle, and the outcomes are better. So I'm happy it's occurring there. I don't think, particularly with Wilbur Ross in the shadows also watching over this whole thing, that he's going to let a trade war break out. I want to make a point, though. If you're an investor internationally, pretty well every country in Q1 beat us. And so the world is feeling good about what's going on and really letting the P's expand a little bit internationally. I don't care if you invest in Canada, Switzerland, France, Denmark, Sweden. They all are ahead of us. Hong Kong, everybody. So putting some money internationally now in front of all this is probably not a bad thing because PEs are 15% cheaper because we're right up here now in valuation. So I like the international trade. I'm using a FTSE Russell index, of course, ONTL for me, but it's everything ex-US. So that's how I'm getting at it. But this negotiation, what I'm hoping happens is, let's take steel dumping. Let's give President Trump a bone. And China says, okay, no more dumping of steel. Let us show our respect to the WTO rules we know we've been breaching. And getting exchange for, not getting into a trade war on a border-adjusted tax. It would hurt the market so badly to see BAT come in here, and that would hurt all the indexes. That's what I'm worried about, that this triggers a BAT discussion, which I never liked. Never liked that idea.
Well, I mean, it seems like a BAT discussion would be triggered by something else, and that would just be the effort to get tax reform done in a revenue-neutral sort of fashion, right? I mean, I agree that the win on WTO and anti-steel dumping, that could be a huge win for Trump, particularly in what he calls his core. Right.
That would work for him. The steel dumping alone would give him the jobs.
Steel in America, all that.
But what I'm worried about, it spills into a BAT discussion because really what's going on there is you're pricing a new tax on all the incoming goods, including $5 sneakers, that all of a sudden cost you 30% more. That doesn't make any sense. And strategically, it's not going to work with Mexico and Canada because Canada, for example, is responsible for 9.5 million jobs in 35 states in the U.S. That's $2 billion a day of trade in 35 states, #1 trading partner. You can't throw BAT on automotive, softwood lumber, XL pipeline. I'm worried about all this stuff.
So how are you going to improve this deficit, though, Kevin? Because, I mean, ultimately, it's the nature of the two economies that kind of leads us to this place, and that's not going to change overnight.
3.5% GDP growth, and it solves a lot of problems. So if we can figure out how to get ourselves back up into that 3 to 3.5, you can all of a sudden be balancing budgets. You can be taking down lots of issues out of healthcare. There'd be a lot of great things happening if we could just bump up the economy by 25.
But Kevin, how do you do that? I mean, that's the question. How do you get to 3.5 if you can't get healthcare, if you can't get tax reform? If you
know why new capital doesn't come to North America these days? Tax rates are stupid. They're stupid. You don't start a new business here. You just don't do it. Canadians have the same problem. They're going to drop their rates as soon as they see what happens with Trump. You go to Eastern Europe, you go still to Ireland, you do stuff in Switzerland, you can torture company to move into a different market just to save 15%, because that's really what we're talking about. We're 15% too high. I don't care if we get to 20 or 28%. Give me either one, give me certainty, and watch the market rock and watch the economy grow. I mean, I've drunk the Kool-Aid with Trump on this thing. Let's get these corporate.
Well, that doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon, though, because I mean, where we've come in the last month indicates that.
Ye of little faith.
Yeah, but Kevin, you sound like Trump. You say we're going to get there, and this is what we need to do, but you don't have a plan to get there. I mean, there's a huge void in getting all this legislative
corporate tax rates
done.
are bipartisan. Both sides like it. It was not like health care. I didn't like the health care outcome. That was a bad one. Usually in a new administration, what you want to do is pick something you can win 100%, do the small deal first, say, hey, look, I won this, now I'm going to take on something bigger. Instead, we go for the big kahuna, health care, which is never going to get resolved. It's going to take forever. I like corporate tax as the next thing. Tell me that we're going to work on that, watch the market rocket, because
But you are invested mostly internationally? I mean, is your allocation more international as opposed to the U.S.?
The only thing I did since we were last together is I sold off all my regional banks, and I sold 50% of my money center banks because I didn't like the fact that we weren't getting a tax. And that put me up to a 21% cash position right now. I'm redeploying internationally now because I'm really liking the lower PEs on every sector. And you can buy mega cap stocks internationally now in all these great markets. I think you're going to see the continuation of those international markets outperforming. You've got the first quarter nailed down. I don't care where you invested, you beat the S&P.
Kevin, thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful.
Stud. Should we call him Mr. Stud instead? It's easier to say.
I'm sure
So
he'd
he
take
likes
that.
My wife would love that. She would love that.
But would she vouch for that?
going to give the check?
This is a PG-rated show. Give me a trade.
Friday, I think it was Thursday, Tim was here, we talked about the DAX. I thought it was imperative that it got above 12,500. That's where it topped out from early 2015. Very quietly, Deutsche Bank down 2.5% today. It's been going lower the last couple weeks. And quickly, biggest currency manipulators on the planet the last 10 years have not been China. Thank you, Pete. Yeah. It's been the United States.
Of course. We've been talking more about our currency in the last few months than anybody.
Right.
So think about that.